Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the 1 week absence. We had some problems. Specifically, you can say that, I don't know, I was drunk. Let's just say that I was drunk all the time. But now we're back with another edition of Before the Punchline Comedy Podcast. And tonight I have a very special host, a very good friend of mine. If I want to talk about this guy's accolades, well, he's been doing comedy for more than a year. But for that time, he's already been a part of some very big English shows in stand-up in Moscow. He reached the finals of the Last Comic Standing competition this year. And he also actually founded, we can say, and still hosts the one and only Spanish stand-up open mic in Moscow, Sergio Garcia.
Yeah,
Hello, sir.
That was pure luck. I didn't plan any of those things, but I don't know how. It's working.
Some way or another, it's working. Yeah. So I always have this, plan in my head of what I want to discuss with my guests. Yeah. You're a very fascinating case for me because you have very rich history, of how you were living your life, how you have been living your life. Yeah. So let's, I guess, start from the get-go. Yeah. How did you end up in Russia?
Well, my life is like a adventure. So in Colombia, I had a really, really fun life. Like my family is great. I have a lot of friends there, and like university, I'm an industrial designer. But I never use it. So I spent a lot of money on my studies, and I end up being a capoeira teacher, like an instructor. But I went to Brazil, to Rio de Janeiro, to learn from the best capoeiristas in the world. So it's like the real deal. It's not YouTube stuff.
Nice.
So that's how I have been traveling the world and learning languages. I know 4 languages. Spanish, Portuguese, that are very similar. English, I learned by movies and comedies. And now I'm learning Russian for 7 years, and my Russian sucks.
That's, truth be told, it's one of the most difficult languages in the world, I think, yeah. But we're there pretty close because you learned English from movies and comedies. Yeah, I learned English from video games.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was playing video games, I remember, because my parents hired me a tutor when I was 8, yeah? And I was like, but how can I use it outside? Yeah. And then I started just playing all games in English. And that's how I learned a lot of swearings, a lot of curse words. Yeah.
My gamer life ended when I was 12 years old. I used to have a Nintendo or something like that, and then and play Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct. It was amazing. My fingers bleed and everything, but I'm very hyperactive, so I like movement more. I cannot stay in one place. This is difficult for me.
The guy played, you played like Mortal Kombat, and that's why I guess you started doing capoeira. Yeah?
No, because my brother used to hit me all of the time. So I had 2 strategies: be stronger than him and be know how to fight. So I started doing martial arts to defend myself at home. My bully was with me all of the time. It was amazing. So why did I end up in Russia is because of my beautiful Russian wife. One of my adventures with capoeira, I found this amazing girl that used to also train capoeira here in Moscow with one of my friends that we are in the same school. So I started flirting in Facebook, oh, that's a cute picture. And she started messaging, she write back, and we started talking for 8 hours every day for 3 months. So she went to Colombia, and we date for 1 week. That was a lot of money for a date, but I didn't pay. Yes. And then and then we went to Rio de Janeiro, and I was part of the World Championship of Capoeira.
Wow.
I didn't win. Of course, I don't use steroids. or I'm not Afro. That's also a reason. And then we stayed there for a while, and several times in Colombia, she went back and forward from here to there. And then I say, let's get married. What happened if we get married? You don't have to go back to Russia like every week. And we didn't tell anybody, just one person as a witness.
Secret wedding.
Yeah, my mother is still crying. Every time I say that about the wedding, she's like, why did you tell me about that? I wanted to go on this meet. And I was, you don't deserve it, mother.
like Dr. Evil, you don't deserve it. Where is my cat?
You don't have it that nice. No, she's... so my family is great, my wife is great, but I end up living here. That is also great, but it's super cold now. So I'm not part in my element. I'm a tropical person, so it's difficult.
So yeah, for those of you guys who probably never been to Russia, and I know there are some people listening from abroad, here in Moscow, winters can be very harsh or very soft. Like last year, it was pretty soft, I would say. It was 0 + 1 the entire 3 months. Yeah. But this year, like right now outside, I think it's -8 Celsius, degrees Celsius. It feels like minus fucking 20.
Yeah.
Especially with the wind.
Especially when you need to find an address with your phone in your hand.
Oh my God.
And you're like, right or left, I don't know, I don't care.
I used to have this problem all the time several years ago. That's why I switched for some time from iPhones, because they would die on cold, out in the cold, like I would have like 100% charge. I would take it out like 5 minutes. I used it's like 20% left. What the fuck is this? Like, and I'm in the middle of some ramenki. I don't know where to go.
If you see on Instagram like a selfie of a person in Russia that take like in the street, that means he's addicted to selfies, because for doing that in the street in this time of the year, it's painful. It's super difficult to take a selfie or a photo even.
True. Yeah. But truth be told that winter can be very different. It's different kind of cold in different parts of Russia, because Moscow and especially St. Petersburg, they're very cold. They're very cold in winter, More so St. Petersburg because of the river, But if you go to Siberia, for example, like Novosibirsk, or some other cities, when they have -25, it's actually not as bad as -8 in Moscow because of the climate.
Because of the vodka, of course.
And candies and vodka, yes. No.
One year I had -32. That was the worst I remember here.
It was 3 years ago. I remember that because the night when it was -32, my friends and I, we went to the countryside, and we forgot to take out like the batteries from our cars, and we left them there. And the next morning, nobody could start the car, nobody could. Thankfully, I had a charger for the battery, and that saved our asses. But it was -32, and that wasn't good.
Yeah, my mouth and my fingers hurt. So I'm in the street like in pain, and everybody, you see like a fat guy without a jacket. Like and with shorts, like what is happening? And people like with almost nothing, and I was suffering.
Or these guys who I really hope suffer a lot, like young guys, 17, 18 years old. They have like the jeans and they tuck the how do you use it? The legs? They tuck the legs, and it's like so they have like socks, which short freaking socks, and basically a very big part of their foot is exposed to cold. I'm like, I don't know how they do that, because when I go outside right now, I would have like sweatpants under my jeans.
Yeah, me too.
And I would also put on the woolen socks, which my wife needed. I can't do that. I'm like, how do these people do that? Well,
that's why Russian girls doesn't have cellulitis or anything. Like, I need to fix my legs. So skirt in the winter. And
Oh, my wife. I asked my wife once about this. I was like, why do girls usually wear skirts and like stockings and nothing else? And she was like, everything to look good, honey. Like, not that way.
And feel good for the guys.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, you have to impress. You have to dress to kill, so to speak. Yeah, but I digress. Yeah. So that's the way that you got yourself here in Russia. Yeah.
As I told you before, I was visiting just for the first time in the summer or spring. It was so beautiful, and we used to live with my wife in Bogota for 3 years. And then first week I was here, super beautiful, super clean, super safe. They offered me they offered jobs to my wife. And I was like, what the fuck are we going to do when we go back to Bogota? The same shit over again. Let's come here. First week I was here in Moscow. I say like, I proposed to come here to live.
No, okay. Was it difficult to move here, from the official point of view, like the documents and stuff?
Yeah, of course. But like my wife is super good at those things, so she helped a lot, and my father-in-law. But it's a nightmare. You need to go to the office, and it's full of people that are like semi-Russians or.
Oh my God!
From the borders, trying to escape Ukraine in the war. It was at that time, and it was super rude. Everybody, like the people, were super tense. They were like 5 lines and 7 papers with names. You say, you need to put your name in that list. No, that list was from 1 week ago. You need to change it now because of. It was like amazingly difficult.
Wow.
A nightmare. But now I'm applying for nationality like in next year in January. So I need to have a Russian test.
Language, yeah? The language test.
My God, and it's not good.
Well, yeah, I can tell you that punctuation in particular in the Russian language, it's unnecessarily complicated and difficult, I think, because English people don't give a fuck about punctuation. All of those commas, full stops, they don't care.
And the end of the phrases, the Russian communication is like, you send the message, the people like receive it, and they don't reply. They fix it, and they give you back the correction of the original message. So the communication for me doesn't work here in Russia. Like I'm trying to speak to somebody and they're like, no. You don't say it like that. Okay, but do you have coffee or not? Please tell me. My question was, and they're like, it's so difficult, man. So one day I was in Terimok. Yes, the restaurant is fast food, Russian fast food. And it was an old lady in the paint pond. And I said like, Coca-Cola, пожалуйста. Coca-Cola, please. She said, что? Coca-Cola, 0, пожалуйста. Не понимаю. Coca-Cola, 0. Like 4 times. And then she say, борщ. That's like a juice, like, and she was like understanding by my face that I wanted to drink. You know, like I don't understand what you are saying, but your face is thirsty. Borsch, like shit. Yeah, it's a real story, not a joke. Oh my God, it was a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Older people in Russia, they can be very confusing sometimes. They don't understand what you want. Hell, even when I communicate with the older people, sometimes they don't understand what I'm telling them.
They don't want to. It's like, не хочу.
Let me tell you about life in Russia, my son. I'm not your son.
First. Shut the fuck up. Now listen.
and eat your borscht. Exactly. Okay. Well, that's been fascinating to hear. Yeah, but let's get to the core, to the meat of our conversation. Yeah, sure. Since we have a comedy podcast and we talk about comedy here most of the times, stand up. You've been doing that for more than a year. The question is, how? How did you first come to do that?
Well, in May of last year, May. So it's 1 year and 6 months, but for quarantine, we stopped 3 months. So it's 1 year and 3 months. It's nothing, man. But I started like teaching capoeira to kids, a lot of classes every week to little kids. So it's super difficult if you are not in a good mood. So I started listening to comedy just before the classes, like 1 hour of comedy, and my mood changes. So I was making jokes in the classes, talking to the kids in my broken Russian, and making them laugh. That was my first comedy experience with the jokes to kids. It's super funny, but you can also like make them fall and everything. It's not just words. It's like being a clown.
Yeah.
It was funny, but I get like addicted to comedy in English because it's a lot. You learn something new every day from the podcasts and the comedy specials. So I started writing like 3 years ago, writing comedy, but it was not comedy. It was just like ideas. It's not punchlines or setups. It's like I that happened to me that was funny with my father, and then he said this, and my brother do this, and my mother da da da. So I started like writing those ideas and organizing them like from the least funny to the most funny at the beginning. So this is not funny. So I put it at the end. Like I maybe want to talk about this one day. So I put it at the beginning. It was like a system that I developed.
So you were already thinking of doing stand up one day, and you were just making notes.
That's why I was writing, because I asked some people here in Moscow about open mics, and they didn't reply. I was like, okay. I think I asked a couple of people and they didn't reply back. So I was like, later. And then I found about the show on Prosto Cafe. Prosto, that is in our place. It's near our place now. And I went to try someday, but I didn't like want to memorize because I was super like
nervous. Yeah.
And then I took three or four of those topics that I wanted to talk about, and then just enunciate like in a piece of paper. I want to talk about this and this and this. And I went one day like on May last year, and it was super good. I was super afraid, but I started like speaking like right away in English, and people started laughing. Like I did good the first time. So I was super happy, but I didn't have like a plan. So it was an accident.
It was just a flow of mind. Yes, I understand. You were just saying whatever you wanted to say.
And I did one joke that I even use these days that is very good, but it was improvised. Like about teaching capoeira to kids, and they treat me bad, so I make them fall with my leg. It's just to teach them how to stand up fast. And
not beating kids, teaching them.
Yeah. And the Russian parents are like, yes, this is good. Kick my kid, but not too hard.
Oh my God, yeah, man. So let's go through your first steps, because for every single person that comes into the world of stand-up, and they try doing that, the first month is the deciding factor. So after the first month, people usually decide, do I want to continue or do I want to drop it? And it's like usually it is such a story that your first performance, usually majority of them that I saw, people do good, more or less good. And then they get euphoria. They're like so happy. Oh, I'm good. Next time they come and they bomb. Like they total silence. People are still supportive, of course, for the effort, but still. And then these doubts start hitting them. Oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. And by the end of the first month, they decide, do I continue or do I stop? So how was the first month for you?
So I remember because I started writing my sets, what did I do? And I put it like in the same document at the end. I put like, first set, I did this, I talk about this worked, this doesn't work. it's like recording but with words, like.
Mm-hmm.
So the second set, it was about Captain America, how I barely look like him, and it really works. So it was better structure in the jokes, and I did like I practiced, like I wrote and I calculate the time like 5 minutes or 7.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very good, like a 7 out of 10. And the third time, I really practiced like all of the words, and I record myself and listen to the set several times, and I memorize all of the words, and I destroyed. It was like very good. So I get cocky, like I get like, oh, I'm very good at this. The fourth time, it was the worst thing that I have ever done. I tried like super complex topics or very personal. And I invited one of my students to record because I was like sure I was going to destroy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a disaster. Like I was in shame. I was start speaking, nobody laughed. So I get red. My face got red. And I didn't do like, at the end I had like a little bit of good joke, but it was like the worst. So from that point on, I started like mixing from memorizing everything, but also like trying things that were not very avant-garde, like super complex or weird.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
that said that was terrible was super weird for everybody, like traumas and blah blah blah. I went too deep to the rabbit hole, and everybody like, "What the fuck is happening?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
Yeah, it depends on the topics because Russian people are still very sensitive towards some particular topics. Because I remember like once I cracked a religious joke, and a woman came after the show to me, and she was like, "You should never joke like this again." And I was like, "Okay."
To you,
to you,
don't
yeah.
come back.
I will go to your church on Sunday and crack that joke.
This is not your place.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, nice. So that was
So
the
that
first
was
one
the first
for you.
one,
Yeah.
4 times.
Mhm.
Yeah.
4 times. Oh yeah, I mean back then a year ago, yeah, you wouldn't have a lot of chances to perform. Yeah, it
Once
was
a
like
week.
once or maybe twice a week. Yeah, if you were lucky, of course. How did you write, and how do you write? Because one of the most fascinating topics for me is how a person evolves in stand-up. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because some people they usually start by writing the whole jokes, verbatim, like every single word that I'm gonna say, I'm gonna write.
No.
Later, when they get more experienced, yeah, they usually write tags, like couple of words in which their brain connects to jokes. Yeah. How did you do that when you just started? Yeah. And how did that evolve over the last year for you?
Yeah. So I started writing on paper, and before the capoeira classes. So then I decided to organize everything on the computer, and now that it's very helpful. When I have an idea, anything like one word that is funny, I write it on the messenger of Facebook. You can write, and it's even if it's not an internet connection, it will save you the message to yourself, and then when there is internet connection, it will send it. So all of those messages later I copy paste to the Word document that now have 560 pages.
Wow.
Yeah. So most of those pages are just like ideas, like super weird stuff or things I don't want to talk about because it's super personal or super weird. But later I start like realizing that I use them, those things that I wrote in the past for the new jokes. Like when I write them and I put it in the end, I keep them there like in my mind too. So I use them sometimes, and sometimes they came to my mind again. So I like edit them and put them in the document, but upper, like I promote them.
Yeah.
So the shitty stuff is at the end, and the good stuff is in the beginning, and it's getting like different formats, like themes, or I can combine the jokes. because I know exactly the value that people gave them because they're funny or not. I have already tried them.
Okay. Man, you just told me 560 pages, and my brain goes like, "Suck it, John Rowling,"
No, but it's
with your Harry Potter books.
it's nothing, man. At the end, it's like I was on the plane and beautiful girl was looking, and I was thinking about what to do with that. Like that's it. Like I don't know what to do with that. That's it. That's the end of the story. Like I was in the plane, beautiful girl was looking, and I was looking, but I'm married. So it's like thoughts. It's a thought make something. But I think it's a very good exercise for that because when you write it, you can change things.
Yeah.
Even exaggerations or combine stories. That's what I'm doing now. I had one girlfriend and I combined it with the other girlfriend, and they became one super ex-girlfriend. That is funnier than the original ones. You know?
How do you put the jokes together? Because this is also very different for every person. Yeah. Like just to compare, how do I usually write? Yeah. I write on an impulse. Yeah, I can't make myself sit down and grind and write. I know there are a lot of people who do that. Yeah, they're like, oh, today I'm going to spend 3 hours writing. Yeah, I can't do that. I need an impulse, like something happened. Usually for me, it's something emotional. Like if I hear something which I think is so stupid and I get so upset. Yeah. And then it comes to me. Oh, I can do that. Recently, it's been like with bad performances. Yeah, after a bad show, I would be angry, pissed off at myself. I would be walking in the street, literally in the street. I would be thinking about something. Yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute. This is it. Yeah, I can write this. And I would write that. The best example for me, like one more situation. Yeah. One of my best sets about how my daughter was born. Yeah. I remember like the day she was born, I texted our mutual friend, Abed, who's a regular on this show. Yeah. And he came up to me and I started talking. I started telling him about the night, how I took my wife to the hospital. He was like, man, this is funny. You should make a joke out of it. Yeah. And in the next 2 hours, I wrote like 6-minute bit, which is one of my best material. Yeah. How do you do that? What is the process of putting joke together for you?
The same thing that you say, but 100 things more. For example, when I'm not inspired at all. I say I cannot think about anything. So I take the document, I open it, and random, I go to any point at the beginning or the end, and I see like phrases, and I try to fix them and change funny words. How can you say that in Spanish? Because now I'm doing comedy in Spanish. And then I start like thinking about the joke, and something happened, like a new ending or a new beginning, like the introduction of the joke. So it's very interesting. It's not the same thing every day. It's like I need to clean the dishes, yes, at my house. I cannot like stand up there and clean everything. It's impossible for me because I get distracted. I get one dish and I say, I fuck. So I write something like, I remember something, this is funny. It's the same with comedy. I cannot like sit down and write a joke. It's always like pieces and then I put them together and it's super weird. It's like that for everything. In my case, I have dyslexia a little bit and I'm super hyperactive. And I like to think in artistic ways. Yeah. I'm not mathematician at all. So it's like that. It's like I'm watching a comedy special and the guy is talking about milk. So I get ideas from that, but it's not the same material. It's like, happened to me with cheese. I was eating cheese in that restaurant and this happened to me. This is funny. It's like inspiration comes like from any place. Like,
what was the weirdest moment that inspiration hit you and you're like, oh, I need to write this down? Because for me, I remember like so many different situations. I remember I was taking a shower. Yeah. And in the middle of like watching, I'm like, I have this, I get it. And I'm like, I can't write it yet. So I take my phone, I open the first application that I see there, which was Vkontakte, and I have a dialogue with myself where I send jokes, but I couldn't write it, because of my hands were wet. So I hit the voice recording and I recorded the voice message to myself.
I've done that a lot of times, but also my wife is like my assistant. I say, Lena, send me this message. Eruption, travestite, and 2 girls, 1 cup. And she's like, what? Okay. And that's an idea that I have, and I will remember everything because of 3 words or 1 phrase. And she already knows, so she doesn't complain about it. I'm like, what? Again? Okay. She say always, okay. But I told her most of my jokes first because she's like, she know how I think and she can land it. She's like, it's not very good. And I'm like, so it's ready.
Same thing with me, because my wife is probably one of my biggest critics. She's brutal with that, because she's one of the reasons I married her is because she's very upfront. She will tell you what she thinks. And I have these moments of euphoria, when I write the joke and I'm like, this is the best joke in the world. I come to her, I tell it to her, and she looks at me with poker face and she goes like, that's not funny
at all.
And I'm like, I'm destroyed inside. I'm like, you don't understand it.
But sometimes it's like, she said that once, my first joke in Russian, and it was so easy, so stupid. And she was, that's not funny, and it's for kids. And I said, okay. I went to the open mic in English, and most of the people watching were Russian. I said, let me tell you a joke in Russian. It's my first one. Do you want to hear it? They were like, da. So I tell the joke, and everybody like clapping and everything, like applause break.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and part of this joke is my wife told me this joke was shit, so fuck my wife. And everybody like, yeah. And I tried the joke like several times, and it always works. So it's not very accurate. So it's girls is just like it's a filter, but it's not the best filter always. It's like you need to try it. You need to try it. Yeah. Most of the times you don't know. Sometimes I say like, this is so dumb, so stupid, but I want to tell it. I don't know why. I go to stage and I tell it, and it like destroys like everybody, and you're like, really? You like that stupid shit? Now I have one. This like I get on stage, I say, yes, I'm a white Latin. Surprise, motherfuckers. I don't think that's funny, and every time people are like, whoa, and they start clapping and everything, like, because I don't look like Latin. Yes, it makes sense, but it's not that funny. But people get crazy. It's like, oh, he said it.
I get that, because I have a couple of jokes, not even jokes. It's like a mini joke inside of a bigger joke, which I tell just to keep the laughter, and I have at least 2 of them, which I don't understand why they work.
Exactly.
I don't get it. Like, to me, it's one of them, I get why it can be funny. The other one, I just don't get it. Really, I'm like, I improvised it once, because I said something, after a punchline, and it made people laugh. I repeated it again and again, and people are laughing. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, why are you laughing? I want to ask people this question, why are you laughing?
Why? I don't understand you guys, but okay, thank you for coming.
Which again tells you once again, you never know what's weird. Funny or what's not.
Stand-up comedy is super weird, because you plan to do a lot of stuff and you're like, yes, and then they are no. But the other day is the same thing. I will try this again, and they're like, yes, and you're like, what? What happened yesterday?
Exactly.
It's so weird, man.
It's very weird. Well, that's comedy for you. You have inside of you, like a mixture of a lot of cultures, because 4 languages, you're from Latin America, and the sense of humor, in my opinion, is a very flexible and subjective thing, and every part of the world has their own sense of humor. If we talk about your native country, Colombia, how different is humor over there, and do you use any of that in your comedy, like when you write jokes?
Yeah, I was like amazed because when I start doing comedy in English, my good material that people laugh a lot were is like a little bit dirty about drugs or sex or whatever that not a lot of comedians use because they feel like shame. Yeah, they feel about their own lives or families or whatever. I talk about anything. I don't care. And I
No, dude, sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, you're talking to the guy like my dad passed away this May. Yeah, a week later I wrote a joke about his funeral. So
yeah, yeah, that's like something we had in common. Yeah, so I start like listening to a podcast about Colombian young comedians that are getting super famous now because they are popular, like trending. But they're super dark and super dirty and talking about drugs and sex, the same shit that I'm doing here. And I didn't know. And I started like, and all of them were talking about the same thing that I talk here. So the context of my growing life, yes, when I was a child and I was growing, it influences a lot of the style of communication that I have. These guys say the same things that I say, but in different words. But it's super regionalist. They don't do like jokes for everybody. I have tried to send those jokes to people that are not Colombian, and it's not very funny because they use reference and the Spanish that we use only in Colombia in the streets. So they will not be in Netflix, I think, because of the communication that they're using. They can be in Netflix if they change it. Because some of the comedians of Colombia, the next step is going to Mexico. Mexico is like stronger in comedy. So some of the comedians go there and they get more famous, and they go to United
States,
yeah,
and getting
and start doing
breaks,
it in Spanish in Florida or Miami, and then in English when they learn, and they get super popular.
That is a very common thing, I guess, because I had Mumsy earlier in the month, last month, sorry. And we were talking about South African comedians, which, of course, the most popular name that comes up is Trevor Noah. Yeah. And we talked about a lot of similarities that South African comedians who are becoming popular share in their material. Yeah. Also like about joke theft accusation, that comedians throw at each other from time to time. And he actually made a very good point. First of all, you need to understand that if you come from any part of the world, if you want to become popular, you need to generalize your humor. Because people will not understand some peculiarities like you just talked about. Yeah, some words some language that you're using only in Colombia, for example. Yeah. Other people will not get it. And that's why, like a lot of South African comedians, for example, they talk about their experience living in Europe or in the United States. And the point is that Mumsy made is that if you take 10 comedians, and you send them to the States, and then 6 months later, they will write something about their experience, there will be a lot of similarities there because they have the mindset, okay, we need to write, but we need to write so that we need to cover a lot of people, that more people would understand that. Therefore, they will share similar jokes with similar experience, and that's exactly what you're talking about here. But you get probably more popular, but in my opinion, you're losing the appeal. Because how many other South African comedians, for example, there are plenty of them, and they all talk about the same thing. At one point, people would just get tired of that.
There is one South African comedian, Loiso Goyola, is amazing. Like, he's amazing. And he's super smart guy, and he was super poor growing up, and now he's like rich, but he's traveling the world. And he's his style is like making fun of the audience, like, you white people. Yes, like he's traveling all around the world, like, you think like napkins and toilet paper is not the same thing. Yes,
Yeah.
they're using like or about food or about like transportation or homeless people. So he's like his point of view is super strong. Like he's like, why the fuck you rich white people do this? And everybody's like, it's super amazing comedian because he doesn't change the person he is anywhere. He's just
Exactly.
like criticizing.
And this is how you separate yourself from the gray mass. And the best example of the worst stereotypical use of comedy, I think, is there is a comedian whose name is Dave Ninan or Nanan. Sorry if I butchered it a little bit, yeah. He is not. You ask a person who's into comedy, they would probably not know this guy's name, yeah. But he books a lot of corporate gigs, yeah, and so on and so forth.
In which country?
The States, Abu Dhabi. You know, he travels around and he earns pretty good money. But most of the comedians hate him for one reason: his humor is purely stereotypical, ethnical Indian humor. Like the type of humor, oh, I work at customer support, yeah, or technical support, which is a stereotypical joke about Indian people. Yeah, oh, I can fix your computer. I can fix your computer, sir. Yeah, please. Microsoft technical support. This kind of stuff, you know. And the comedians just don't like this kind of humor because it's stereotypical, plus it's not really funny. There is, let's be honest, there are a lot of, a huge part of marginalized people, yeah, who love this kind of humor, who love stupid stereotypical humor, yeah. I don't like it personally.
It's a little bit racist.
Yeah, and that's the other problem that people point out is that by making these jokes, this guy, he basically proves all the stereotypes about his nation. Yeah, he basically bashes his nation for all the stereotypes that Indian people have. Yeah, whereas other comedians are trying to move away from that. And that's the problem.
There's something like I have been thinking about this because I speak about Colombia in a very good way because I love it, but then I criticize a lot of Colombian people because of corruption or drug abuse or violence. And it's weird because if Russian people laugh about that, about when I'm speaking about my country, I don't feel really good. But I wish I could do something to change things there, you know. But maybe the perception of Colombians will change if they know that people are making fun of them because of some simple stuff that they can change, really. Yeah. So it's a way of trying to change things, but it's a little bit harsh. In one of the shows I have in Spanish, I start the show like, Colombia, so I'm white like cocaine. People like that joke is stupid, it's simple. But one of the girls that was Colombian was like very serious, like, I saw her face in the first row. And I say, did you get offended by that? Well, last week in Colombia, they found a submarine with 11 tons of coke, and it was homemade submarine. So don't worry about these things. So if it's true, and everybody like, wah. But it's like that. You cannot hide the truth from people. You need to tell the people like what is happening. It's like being a reporter or something like that.
I think that for me, when people laugh at your jokes, it's like it's a sign of approval and agreement. Like they agree with you. Yeah. That's why they laugh. Yeah. Like I have a couple of jokes about Russia and Russian people. But my problem was that there are so many stereotypical jokes about Russians, which even Russian comedians who perform in Russian make, yeah? So I want to make it as non-stereotypical as possible, yeah? Like the freaking translations of train stations and announcements on train stations, yeah? I decided to take a different approach to that, yeah, when I was writing joke about that. But yeah, definitely it is like that, a lot of stereotypes. How do you, by the way, what's your opinion on stereotypes in humor? Like, because... pardon the interruption. Yeah, just wanted to clearly formulate my idea and my thought that you are a Colombian and you act like a Colombian on stage, yeah. You have this Colombian swag about you, yeah, and you talk about that in your comedy. And once you hit the stage, people would probably expect you to talk about cocaine. People would expect you to talk about guns, yeah, and maybe not terrorist attacks, yeah, but guns, robberies, cocaine, and hookers, yeah, because those are the typical stereotypes that people have in their heads about Colombia. How do you look at that, and how do you use that?
At the beginning, I was a little bit like I didn't like it because it's simple. But then I realized it's not simple to make a good joke about something simple. You know, everybody wants to hear that joke, but it's not very easy to do that joke because if it's very stupid, nobody laugh. If it's very hard, people get angry. So that balance of right and wrong and the equilibrium of the joke is very difficult to find. So what I'm like understanding, if it happens to me when I was there, it's okay to talk about it. I can make it worse or better with comedy. But if I start speaking about some other person or some things that never happened to me, people get offended or they don't like it or it's a weird situation. So what I try to do is like talk about my own life when I was there or my family that is still there, but I try to be careful and make a fun joke is super difficult. You never know it's fun. You never know until you try it several times. So now that it's working, I'm like happy that people like it. And my Colombian friends have heard those jokes and they really like them too. So I guess it's okay.
No, I agree with you because there can be some people who would say, oh, in comedy, you can't joke about shit because it's not funny. I'm like, no, you can joke about shit. But your task when you decide to write a joke about shit is to write a funny joke about shit. Yeah. If a joke about shit is funny, hell, good job. I will shake your hand because it's very difficult to write a good joke about shit.
This week, I was trying to write about Hitler's death and it worked like 2 times. It is working, but I can make it better. And now I have a new one about lynching. You know, when people get killed on the street for something. So I'm thinking, what is funny about lynching? So what came up to my mind, I haven't finished it or anything, is like somebody is so lazy to get killed himself. So he starts trying to do a lot of things that people get offended or are super wrong. So I can make a little story about a guy that get lynched, but he wanted to get lynched, It's a funny idea, but you need to do it in the right context, in the right time. Like you are an African American in that time or in Germany in the Nazi occupation, blah, 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 blah. So it can be, every idea have like a super nice potential for a good joke, but it's super difficult to the final product is super difficult to
how you get there is the result, bigger problem. Yeah, true. Do you have favorite topics to write about? Because I personally I have topics that I'm really good at writing about. Yeah, like obviously my family, dark shit. Yeah, sex, personal life, and my family. No joke. The stuff that I've written over the past 6 months about my wife, my family, and my daughter, probably are one of the best material I've ever written. So I like writing jokes about those topics. Do you have favorite topics to write about?
I love talk about my family too, but I try to be careful because I'm thinking like in the future, my son will maybe watch those videos and there are some comedians that talk like terrible stuff, like, so I try to be nice. I try to be like hard and make people laugh. Even my wife, I talk about her a lot. She's like an aerospace engineer. Yes. And now is a director of account in internet magazine of blah, blah, blah. It's super, super mathematical and super difficult job. I could never do that. So she's super different than me. So I talk about her, but it's fascination because I don't know why she chose me, being like a cute and mathematician and everything. It's like I don't have those elements, so I'm saying all of the time like she picked me because I have what she needs for create a super baby, something like that. And
Ultimate human being.
the new Elon Musk. Please. And drugs. I like to talk about drugs because I had like in Colombia, I used them in not a lot. I tried to run away from that because I'm a sportsman and everything, but I had like experience, like not a lot, but I had like in every drug I have something, not every, but almost. So it's fucking interesting because imagine you can change your brain for a while. You say like, please give me that brain, the orange one.
Yeah.
And they put you that orange brain and it's like, what the fuck is happening? Who is that person? What is happening? So that was super interesting, but I also realized it's super dangerous because I'm hyperactive and creative and blah, blah, blah. So I stopped doing that because of my wife and my kid and sports. So when I started doing the drugs, I had problems with a lot of very difficult stuff that happened to me. It was because of the problems. It's not because I was weak or my friends bad influence. I was trying to find like medicine to cure myself. So I read in internet and everything like you can try some mushrooms for this or smoke for this or this to have fun because I forgot for a while how to have fun. It was horrible like time in my life. So I started trying to fix my brain with those things, but it was like crazy. So I have a lot of stories about that, but it didn't work out for me because I cannot control those things. Yes.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that what I'm telling you, like have another eyes, another ears, another skin. Like it's super fun to make a story about that. And especially here in Russia that people have a lot of restrictions. They are super interested in those stuffs.
Yeah.
Like people pay attention. You can see the first like, whoa.
No, of course, these are some not taboo topics, but I would say that, like you said, yeah, the restrictions, like the forbidden fruit, so to speak. Yeah, and for people, it's always fascinating to listen and to talk about that. I think that everyone had experience has had experience with stuff, with drugs in the past. Hell, I had an experience with drugs, but unfortunately, mine was not very good. as if there is a good experience with drugs. Shit.
There is.
Yeah. So the problem was that I tried hash. I tried weed. And wheat was okay, because it was natural. But hash, oh man, this is some of the most chemical stuff.
You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, you don't know what you're taking because it's also, it wasn't natural. It wasn't natural. And my friend back then, we were very young. I was 20. He was even younger. He was 18, and he got this for us. Yeah, and it was very cheap, and now I realize why, because I felt like shit. I remember like about 2 hours after I took it, I went to bed and I couldn't go to sleep because I was feeling the veins pulsing in my brain. And it was unbearable. It was one of the worst experiences of my life.
Nothing funny about that, but for example, my uncle and my cousin, they try some brownies without knowing marijuana brownies. So some friend of my uncle gave him as a present like a lot of brownies to bake. So the housewife make the cake, the brownies, they cut it, and all of them took brownies without knowing. So they start like eating them, and they will hallucinations. They were like crying, laughing. Even to the guard, the guard that they protects the building, they give to him. Imagine you have a gun and you are protecting a building full of people and you're super high without knowing at night. And all of them, I want to go to the hospital. I'm not always. So that's the thing about drugs. If you don't know what you're doing, you need to be very careful, but it could be super fun if you know what you're doing. I think marijuana should be legal, but I don't miss it. I don't miss it because I'm creative and I have my family and I'm happy. But a lot of people that have depression or have health problems, it's very helpful.
Yeah.
And people get in a very good mood and eat better, eat more.
It goes even for the comedians because, like, for example, Joe Rogan, I think he openly admits that he writes.
Dave Chappelle.
He writes while being high, but sometimes it can go scary, because there are some comedians who intentionally get themselves very deep into depression or into shitty situations because they're like, we need material, we need inspiration, and so on and so forth. And that's why I really love Gary Goldman's last special, The Great Depression, because this is the guy who spent several months in the asylum, for people with mental issues. And he was so depressed after his before the last special that he started having these issues, and that's how he ended up in the asylum. And in the last special, The Great Depression, he talks about that, guys, if you think that you only can write with depression and with antidepressants, it's not true. No, it's not true. If you are creative and talented, you don't need any substance to create. But some people just get themselves into this zone. Oh, I'm nothing without like substance, or something like that, which is not true. Is not true. 100% is not true.
This guy, Jim Jeffries.
Of course.
He's amazing. And he said too that most of his career at the beginning, he don't even remember. He was super drunk.
Yeah.
And he was using cocaine, like a lot of cocaine. But then he have these crazy stories that I love because it's like, how the fuck did you survive that? Yes. So that happened with a lot of people, comedians that are wild. I like those wild comedians because they have stories. If you don't do those things, it doesn't have to do drugs, but dangerous stuff like, fighting or having sex with hundreds of girls that is super dangerous, or meeting people you don't know and try to be funny. It's super dangerous. You never know. So these people that like are trying to be free, it's that. It's not about drugs or sex or anything. It's like Jim Jeffries said, like, you don't like where you are, you can move, go to other city, do something different. That's what I did. I was like in Colombia having fun with my family and friends, but nothing was happening. I was trying capoeira, and on TV I was an actor. I was doing stunts like double. It was super fun, but I didn't make any money, and I was asking for money for my family, and I was getting depressed because it was a lot of work and nothing happened. So like this kind of things like make you stronger, and you can talk about that. One of those things that I don't like here in Russia is like the comedians sometimes start speaking about something simple, and they don't make it funny, just like they think it's funny because it's happened to them, but like that happened to hundreds of thousands of people. So put something extra there. You can tell lies or something.
Yeah, it is true. And since you mentioned Jim Jeffries, speaking of jokes about shit, still the best 20-minute bit about diarrhea I've ever heard in my life. He is just a master in this. I love Jim Jeffries.
The tangents, I'm learning about that. I'm trying to do that now. You have a story, you cut it into pieces, And in when you finish one piece, you tell another story. Then you tell the other part of the actual first story. Then another joke,
Yeah.
and then you tell the end of the joke. So you can have like a 10-minute set with just one story, but you divide it. It's
You,
amazing.
you can see it's the story of Jim Jeffries' specials, I think, especially his last one. Yeah, when
Intolerant.
it's like a tree. I would always compare his specials with how tree grows. Yeah, there is a root. Yeah, one common root, a story that he's telling, and at one point he throws in the idea. And then he focuses on this idea, and there is the branch, and then he goes back to the root or to the origins, And I love that. Not a lot of people can do that,
And that's how people actually talk, because almost like maybe
we get
geniuses-
distracted a lot. We get distracted.
Maybe
a lot. True.
one people can tell a story without stopping from beginning to the end, but many people is that then we bought tomatoes and they start speaking about the tomatoes were great. So you get to the part of the tomatoes and then you need to come back. What the fuck I was talking about? So that's the most difficult part, but it's more natural. So when people are listening to those stuff, are like, I like this thing. I like it. It feels more natural.
Yeah.
Natural.
Do you have anything when you're on stage, that you're obsessed with in your performance? I'll explain what I mean, because every time that I get on stage, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes, I don't care. I don't like to jump from one topic to another. I want my set, no matter the length of this set, to be logically to be logical, basically. I want if I have several topics, I want them to be connected logically, so I'm obsessed with this with the storytelling, so that people wouldn't be like, oh, wait a minute, he was talking about tomatoes, now he's talking about fish. How is that connected to each other?
I'm trying to do that.
I'm trying to link logically all of my jokes in the set. Do you have any such obsessions?
I have one. Is I almost all of the time want to do some new joke. Like I cannot repeat like my material from the past without something new. When I do just old stuff that worked, I feel like I'm cheating. I don't know why. It's like even tomorrow I have a show, like they will pay me to do it. That is like an important one with 20 minutes. So I will tell my best stories, but these last 2 weeks I developed like 2 new ones that I will adapt into that. But if I haven't done that, I feel like it's not interesting for me to go to stage without something new that I haven't memorized. It makes it like exciting. It's like, I don't know how to say that. I don't remember what's next. So I improvise when I don't remember, and it makes it funny for me, funnier, and more interesting for the audience, because I'm like suffering. Louis C.K. do that. He doesn't write anything. He's like trying to tell a story that he told before, but he changed details and he go to different places, and it's amazing because he's like, I don't care if I fail. So it's much funnier for...
No, I get it, because I have a very bad feeling when I repeat the same jokes over and over again, because I know comedians, even in Russia, who repeat the same jokes over and over again. And like that happened to me because I was very actively writing new jokes in August, September, October, and then I kind of stopped because I wasn't feeling the inspiration. So I stopped or slowed down. Now I haven't written a new joke in like a week. And because of that, I was like, but I need to perform. And I was using my older jokes from last month, from 2 months ago. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's why I'm skipping shows right now.
Okay.
Because I just don't write anything new. But like not yesterday, 2 days ago, for example, had an open mic, and I was like, man, I need to go there, but I don't want to use the jokes that I've written like 3 months ago. So I dug up my old jokes from a year ago that I haven't used for a year, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I could try them, and maybe something will hit me. And that's happened after I went there.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did a 5 minute set. I went off, and on my way home, I was like, "Oh man, I can add this detail, and
Yeah,
this
yeah.
detail." So it gave me some inspiration. Yeah. But yeah, I also feel bad. That's why if I'm not writing anything new, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should take some time off and just find my inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to write like every day, even if it doesn't make sense. For example, today I write about an old joke and I read it and I try to find a different ending, even if it's not funny, because it's like experimental.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to, for example, today is not an open mic, but I will try the same joke I say before with different ending,
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
as an experiment. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it's very nice to try
No, of
because
course.
your
Yeah.
mind will keep like trying automatically.
Of
It's
course.
like inertia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. On stage, when people just start doing comedy, they tend to freak out a lot. Yeah. With some people, it goes away within the time. With me, for example, it never goes away. I still feel nervous every time I get on stage, whether it's an open
Yeah,
mic
yeah,
in
of
front of
course.
3 people or like a big show in front of 60 people. Do you freak out when you're on stage?
Yeah, of course. But now it's much better because the Spanish show, we started like 4 months ago, and at the beginning it was like 12 comedians every time, and full room. So I was preparing, and everything I say was funny. Like everybody loved it. It's something new in Russia. It was having fun. The Latins, the Russians that know Spanish. It was amazing. But now with time that people that try to do stand-up realize it was very difficult, so they are not coming back
Mm-hmm.
to try something new. They are afraid, like to do it again because they bombed one or twice. So now I'm doing like 45 minutes on Mondays or 1 hour. And I have like 3 more comedians, and Avid helps me a lot. I translate his jokes and we make games, but it's super difficult. So I need to speak like 45 minutes about anything. And I'm like being much more relaxed about being on stage because of time. I have like tricks with people. I look at one people and he's bored. I can see in his face, you're bored. So, what should you be doing right now that is better than these stupid jokes? So something came up to my mind because of faces. So now when I don't know like what to do or something, I look at the people and like, this face reminds me that one joke came because one person have a reaction to the other jokes. So it's becoming more interesting, but it's much easier to go on stage now.
Since we touched that topic, for me it's a mind fuck actually, because of when you consider the circumstances, out of all the places in the world, you are now hosting a Spanish open mic in Moscow. Yet before that, you've never done comedy, actual comedy on stage in Spanish, as I understand. You've only done that in English. And you started doing English comedy in Moscow, and now for the first time in your life, you're doing stand-up in your native language.
And it's super difficult because I wrote the jokes in English, and when I'm speaking, I'm saying the jokes, I'm translating it in my mind. So it's like, ahora ella llegó y entonces le pegó. ¿Qué sigue? So I need to like all of the words are slower and people realize it that I'm like trying to figure out what to say next. So I need to explain like these jokes work in English, so I need to adapt them. The problem about the mic in Spanish is that every country speaks different. For example, some guys
dialects and accents, are very different.
Some guys came from Chile and nobody can understand what they're saying. Even me, like they're
like Scottish people of,
and we're like, what the fuck?
Spanish.
And Mexican people can say anything and it's funny. They say, I was doing this and I did a tortilla, and everybody like and clapping like really just because of the accent and the intonation. But that country is that you go there I went there like 7 years ago or no more, and you get down the plane and everybody's joking all of the time and making fun of another. In
Mm-hmm.
the restaurants, in the airport, like it's the comedy country. It's amazing, and the people are speaking and laughing and smiling, like whoa. So even in Colombia, we have different cities because it's a mountain. Big Los Andes is crossing the country, so depends on the height. People speak different. Like the people from the top of the mountain to the beach, and you cannot understand sometimes the people from the beaches. So you're like, what are you saying? Like, what the fuck is happening? So I'm getting a little bit of frustration from those shows because it's super difficult to like make everybody happy. You know,
Yeah.
if there is people from Spain, I need to make jokes about Europe and how they speak weird to me. And if there's people from Mexico, so you need to be very precise.
Yeah,
It's super difficult.
that's what I actually wanted to ask you is how different, because you probably already noticed the difference between doing stand up in Spanish and doing stand up in English. Probably way different,
It's
than what
much
you expect.
easier in English, but my English is not like perfect. I'm like every day I study and I repeat words. Even listening to the podcast, I repeat like phrases and everything. But even that, because it's not perfect, people laugh more because of my weird accent. Yes, it helps. It's like exotic. So that's one factor, and the other factor is like there's two ways of speaking English, like the people from the United States of UK. The other ones are a little bit like one of the other, you know. Australia is a little bit like UK, or people that live in other countries try to replicate what is happening in the United States. In Latin America and Spain, everybody's is fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot make like one neutral language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, this year, when I'm thinking about comedy, from my perspective, for me, probably the best thing that happened this year was the last comic standing competition. The champion of comedy. Sorry, that for me that was the best thing that happened to me as a comedian. Yeah, because I prepared for that, and I gave 3 of my best performances. I think, I have nothing to be ashamed of. I really loved it, even looking back at that. For you, this competition, what did it mean to you? Yeah, obviously you reached the finals. You did 15 minutes in the finals, or 20. 20 minutes in the finals you did,
or something like that. I know.
What was this tournament for you? How important was it?
15 minutes.
15. Okay.
Yeah.
How important was this tournament for you?
Well, in reality,
As a comedian, I mean,
in reality, I was like always thinking, I'm in the final, but there was 20 comedians at the beginning. It's not like in the United States that you need to do an open mic with 300 people, or it was not like wow to me every time I was like, I'm in the final. But then it's like, there is not a lot of people competing, and most of the people that didn't won at the beginning, they don't practice often. Like I haven't seen them before. And the other people that are good are here with me in the semifinals. So it was an exercise, but I was putting together like I have a lot of jokes that worked during my time doing comedy, so I need to be very precise how put together the sets. It's not about just subjects, but I need to change all of my sets, to all of my jokes, my beats, to combine them. So I was trying to memorize one big chunk, new endings and new things. So it was super difficult because I changed the jokes that I had because they didn't fit together. I think that's why I was in the final, because I fixed them to fit together. It's not one joke and then the other, then the other. I changed the jokes to make them fit like Lego. That was the trick. That's what happened that makes me go further. If I haven't done that, it didn't work, because most of the other people competing were doing like material. It's like Abed does naturally. He have his jokes, but he mixed them I don't know how in real time because he have a lot of experience. So everybody laugh and he relaxes. He relaxes and then he relaxes everybody. I tried to do that, but not organically. So it was super difficult for me. I was suffering like 2 times out of 5. I was like, fuck. I forgot a word or something and I get red one time, one phrase. Next, I need to say this. And I was like red, like, fuck. And I'm like, what? And then I can say whatever. So, okay. So I say something different and it was funny. But it was very difficult. Like it was very tense month. I was super tense all of the time. I like it because I compete in the Capoeira World Championship and it's 3,000 people. Yeah, so it was like adrenaline was super difficult. Now I really like that adrenaline, like the competition like part. But I was not expecting to be in the final really. When they tell me, I was like, what? But it was okay. My last set, it was very nice. I think it was like 7 out of 10. At the beginning, it was more or less, but Aviet was 9 out of 10. Like it was super good. And then Mamsi, he did something new for the final, and he memorized like a million words. Like he have his set on his mind, super clear, and he starts speaking faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. At the end, he was like full speed, and everybody was like, "What?" It was amazing. It was super amazing. It's not like super funny if you read it. I think it's like, but his stage persona in that competition, the final was amazing. The jokes were smart, but it's something new. He haven't tried before. It can get to a better like place later, yes. But it was about his experience last week and he being in the final. So it's new material. So that's why I was like, wow, man, you're amazing. It's like being an actor. I cannot be an actor because I cannot memorize the lines of a movie, you know? I have seen like actors being like, then 20 minutes without stopping. Like, wow, that's amazing for me. So I was super amazed by Abed and by him. The other people that participate, for example, Michael. Let's talk about Michael. He's very good. He's very good comedian. He has very strong stories, and he's concise. Always works. Yes, always he have like some applause, some laughs. But in the competition, he was a little bit faster because he wanted to do a lot of material in the beginning, and in the next round he got like a little bit weird in the delivery. So, for example, I can understand about him that the competition get into his brain, you know. But I was like expecting him to be in the final at the beginning of the competition. And for example, for me, you were funnier than most of the people because you get super big laughs, but it's popularity contest, you know.
No, yeah, of course.
What I told you sometime is like you sometimes punch down, you know. You're like, my father doesn't like me, and I like that. So you go down, but you don't go up. So people are like, yes, he needs to be down. We want to take his hair and put it into water. Yeah. What I do that is different to that is like I start saying, I'm the shit. I am from Colombia and the ladies love me. So people hate me at the beginning, but they are laughing like, this piece of shit thinks he's the best. So they start thinking about like shit that I must have. And then I say all of those shits that people are thinking. Yes. It's not my strategy. It's very common in comedy.
Yeah.
But that's what I told you that time. You should be doing like, I am very good at this and this and this. And then people are like, ugh, like another one of those. And then you say the horrible shit that you have like repressed from your past. And people will be like, wow, shit. That's super funny.
Yeah, it also depends on how you present yourself. Yeah, because me, I think I'm still looking for that stage persona, yeah, because one day, one show you can see me like as a happy father of and a great husband, yeah. Next time on next show, I'm dressed as like looking like fucking Dexter as a serial killer, yeah, throwing out dark jokes about rape and killing people, and people get sometimes confused, you know, like going from that to this, yeah, who are you basically?
It's perception,
yeah.
and I want to sometimes like I try to seduce the girls, even if I'm married and I'm not going to do anything. Because it's like I'm not very good at those things, like do bad things. I want to, but I don't do them, you know? I want to do drugs, I don't do it. I want to get super drunk or steal or something, like do crazy shit, you know? I have like that impulse, but I don't do it. I have self-control. But like when you try to do those things, the girls later are like flirting with me and looking, and I say, I'm sorry, I'm married, so fuck off. Yeah. Or people say to me like, do you have drugs now? Nope. 7 years without.
Nope. Unfortunately.
And they're like, I thought after you said you have something. And I'm like, nope. Nothing, 7 years without anything. And they're like, oh, that was funny.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Is you don't need to be like super one person. You contradiction, like good and evil.
Again, depends on how you structure that. And still, it takes people plenty of times, very often, to find who they are on stage. I'm just starting to come together this year, I think, just figuring out what I really want to write about, what I really want to joke about, and my style on stage. That's I've been focusing on this year, and I'll continue doing that next year. We'll see what's going to happen. One other thing I wanted to ask you, that's a very subjective question to me. I was once arguing with Abed about objective and subjective parts of humor. So basically we were arguing, and he was pushing that for the idea that humor is subjective, which it is. Of course, people have different sense of humor. That's totally okay. On the other hand, I agree with that, but I think that there is objectivity in humor as well. There are, for me, there are objectively good jokes, objectively bad jokes, which usually contradicts with other people's opinions, Like, for example, I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago at the open mic, I saw a comedian who was performing, a girl, she was performing, and she went on stage, and I always listen to the comedians, and her opening joke was something to the extent of, so stand-up comedy is like anal sex, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, let me finish it for you. It's painful at the beginning, then it's pleasant, and she said the exact my thoughts.
My first time having sex.
Then 30 seconds later, she goes, I'm pretty bad at comedy. And my brain goes, oh, let me guess. You're going to tie it to your sex joke. Now you're going to say, I suck. And she goes, I suck. I'm like, fuck. For me, I get why people write these jokes. But I used to write them as well. Don't get me wrong. At the beginning,
because
all of us.
She doesn't know.
For me, such jokes are objectively bad because it's a fucking meme from the internet, you know? Like, that's been there for the last, 15, 20, maybe even more years. You're not original, Yet sometimes you see people who deliver these ideas like, oh, that's the most original idea in the world, and maybe they don't know, or they don't want to realize that 15 million people before them said the same very thing.
What I'm seeing in this point is you have that meme, that meme that is super simple, super stupid. But if this thing happened in your life for real, like something about anal sex, you tell that story with the simple concept of the joke, and it's personal for real and happened to you, and it's funny in some part, that's super different, you know. If you say like a generalization, the comedy and but if you say about the story about when you had like this story,
details, the details is of course, stories and stereotypes are called stories and stereotypes because a lot of people have been in those situations. But you can actually see if a person is generalizing a meme, or is he talking about or are they talking about their personal experience because of the details. The details are what make the difference there. And you can say that, oh, this guy had anal sex, but then he had some funny details about this, and you're like, this happened to him. I can tell you because he's the only guy who knows these details.
Exactly. That's why I think you have like not to pay attention to people that are starting doing comedy, because they haven't seen other people do that material yet. When they start doing comedy, they're like, I have a joke. But then they keep going and everybody do this stupid joke. It's like the process. The process at the beginning is the same. I remember Avid always told me, you need to do this and this and this and this and this. It was too much information. And I think you need to make the mistakes. You need to make the mistakes.
Of course.
One of my favorite podcasts is called Kill Tony. Not now, but in the past. And it's like open mic of 1 minute material. So crazy people from Los Angeles go to stage, even homeless people. And they say 1 minute of material. Like most of the jokes were trash. 1 out of 100, it's like, wow. The other 20 are okay, and the other are trash. So 4 people that are famous, like Bill Burr or Joe Rogan or Johnny Hinchcliffe, that is the creator of the show, trash the comedians. They make fun of them, but they also teach them. So I watched that show for a couple of years, like every day, and it gave me the sensation that most of the people at the beginning do the same shit.
No, of course.
They're talking about their life, trying to be funny without their styles or their way of speaking. That's another one. They are trying to be very mean or super I am the other person. So when you do that, you are fake. You're fake.
I still remember that first time. One of the jokes that I feel embarrassed for was a joke about how fat my mom is. I was like, Jesus Christ! It was so bad. It was so freaking bad.
That can be very funny if you.
It can be, but that time it was bad.
Yeah, I remember.
Very bad.
I remember.
And but I'm grateful for that I've made a lot of mistakes. Which I talked about before. I made a lot of mistakes in comedy, and I'm very grateful that I made them, actually, because that made me that shaped me into a comedian who's on his way to becoming maybe a little bit unique. And thankfully, I learned how it feels like to bomb and to have the room full of people being silent, because the first 3 performances that I had bombed, like bomb. Like you could hear a pen drop during those 3 of my first performances. So I was grateful that I had that experience from the start. And of course, there are some things that you tend to realize within the time. Like you learn how to write yourself. Because for each it's individual. At some point, though, you reach the stage of your comedy persona, your comedy routine, where you can actually take outside advice, a piece of advice from the outside. Like for me, that was recording myself, but that's not the case. Listening to myself, I hate my voice. I hate my voice in the recording.
I don't like listening or watching.
And it's very bad. But then again, for me, that made a lot of use because. I learned what false perception is, because when I'm on stage and if I crack a joke, and this joke is objectively not very funny, but if there are 3 people out of 30 who would laugh, my brain will remember only these 3 people. That's how my brain functions.
At the beginning, of course.
It tries to escape the reality. And then I watch the recording and I'm like, oh, this joke was good. Then I watch the recording and I'm like, 3 laughs. Only 3 people laughed. I'm like, fuck, this is not good. It, of course, destroys you a little bit. Yeah, but at the same time, it gives me the normal perception of reality that, oh, it's not a good joke.
No,
Let's fix this.
I'm very good at that, at criticizing myself. Every time I go to stage, it doesn't work that well. And everybody, good job. And I'm like, nope. I go home in the metro like, it wasn't good. I started writing in the metro. No, I'm not saying this again. This joke goes to the end, to the end of the line. And then I start sleeping. And I wake up like, yes, this joke is what I should have said today. And I was like, yes, fuck. And then I create a new joke about the moment that I didn't like. I really like that about my style of comedy. That I don't like it. I don't like most of the things that I tried, and when they don't work, I'm like, ooh, it's like, this is shit. I hate this shit. So I abandon it. Like I say, I don't want to see you again. But then like 3 months later, maybe I will try something new about that. And I try again. But it's like that, like.
That's I think that is one of the most useful things if you do comedy, when you can look at yourself and see the flaws. Yeah, when you can see the flaws, when you can criticize yourself, and so on and so forth. I let some people criticize myself, like people like Abed. I know that he's gonna tell you, if you ask him, like, hey man, tell me how shitty I was, and if you were shit, he would destroy you. Yeah,
of course.
And that helps me actually, because I know this guy will not lie to me. Yeah, in this term. What is your most embarrassing moment on stage?
On stage?
Yeah. Do you have such moments?
The problem is I don't feel like that kind of shame, because if I'm not doing it good, it's like, it's okay. Next time I will prepare better. But when you say something really stupid, or when my English fails, One time I wasn't able to say gang bang. And I started saying bang gang fan can like 10 times, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? And I go like, okay,
does he have Tourette's?
Next joke. Like, what the fuck is happening? I don't know. Yeah. And in Spanish, some days it's so difficult. There is one beautiful day where it's happy, and one other day I have to do 30 more minutes, and nobody's laughing. So you start like trying something different, nothing. Another thing, nothing. Another joke, nothing. Then the last one is like, this is the last one, and everybody like, one joke out of 10. So you're like, fuck. It doesn't happen often. The Spanish open mics are very funny, but some days it's like, whoa, man, whoa. Or I said some jokes about girls that now, did you hear about Common Sense?
Yeah.
It works for the first time, and I tried like 5 times. The first 4, some guys in the audience were like, it's about a woman. Yes, yeah. And the girls get super angry with me. I can see it in their eyes. They're like, you motherfucker, I hate you. And I changed this end of the story, because it's like what the woman said to me about common sense. Yes. So I make a contradiction. So I say at the beginning, you don't have common sense. So all of the girls get like, you motherfucker. Then I say, you are saying I don't have common sense. Now let me tell you about that. So the end is that, like, the response that women want to hear, and it really makes the joke better. But it was super tense. I did it 4 times, and it was like, fuck. You can feel the rage of the girls different from the guys. They're like, woof.
Sometimes it can get tense, with tense, some audience members. Tense. Do you have any jokes which are outdated, which used to work in the past, but they don't work right now? Do you have them? Just because of the times. The times changed, and it's different, and it's not funny anymore.
About news, about global warming, when Australia had these big fires, and Siberia, I make a joke, and it worked once that week. Like everybody destroyed, like, and then I tried again like 1 month later, and nothing. Nobody remembered the news.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to be very precise, like it's difficult. About things, yeah, some jokes. I had a powerful beginning of the set about multicultural boards or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and I divided that joke into four that worked much better alone because it was too much information and the ending was not very strong. So I need to I was making like an effort to remember all of the things of the components of the joke. At the ending was like da 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 and ah ha 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 ha.
Mm-hmm.
So now I divided the joke into pieces and it works much better and it's easier for me. So
Yeah, the reason I asked you this is because right before the competition, I went to Jim and Jack's to practice. Yeah, there was a show. And I decided to dug up my old jokes, like really old jokes, like from 2.5, 3 years ago, which worked back then. I like made a set, 10-minute set with them. I went on stage, 10 minutes of the jokes, nothing worked, like absolutely not. I hadn't had that kind of silence I got that day in a long time.
Había told me.
Yeah, like I went to the green room. I went off stage. I was like, I wasn't angry. I wasn't pissed off. I was like, what the fuck was that? Like, I was shocked that it was that kind of silence.
No,
yeah.
you need to take those old jokes and change them.
Yeah,
I do that every time. I read them and I like, what the fuck is that? So I change everything and I try to make them shorter because if I'm not using them, it's for something. So you don't need to spend a lot of time with something that you don't use. It's like capoeira kicks. Like you have some kicks that work very well. I can do another movements, but I don't use them. So why? They are not beautiful or not effective, or they don't surprise the enemy. You know, it's a lot of things. Why don't you use it? So you need to change the movement to be like real.
Yeah, true. But that's the thing that jokes can get outdated, and that's so totally okay. Times change, people's change, and people
about quarantine, about Trump. I hope the jokes about Trump finally get in the past.
Dude, I think that when Trump dies, like 10 years after his death, the jokes about him will still be relevant. I'm pretty sure. I am pretty sure about
horrible
that.
Person.
But quarantine was actually a good way for me because when we were doing those online shows, in my head, I saw a lot of comedians who performed at those shows doing their regular material. In my head, I was like, I need to write jokes about the quarantine. I need to write jokes about like making this online. Yeah, because this is cool. I was actually excited for that. Yeah, because like, oh, now I get to do something new. You know, we have these circumstances. Yeah, I can do, and I did, and it was great because it was something inspiring.
I was watching that show Kill Tony, and they did the same but in quarantine, and it was super boring. I didn't like it. But once one guy have like elements behind. And he said, look, I'm on space. And he have like a sun or something. Mm-hmm. So he said was floating on space, but it was very cheap. So he said, oh, shit, what is that? A meteorite? Oh, no. So he make a little set, a 1 minute set in space floating. And it was super funny. It was stupid jokes. And he make one good like one-liner. And everybody like, yes, like finally something different because you have different background, you know, you can do elements that you cannot do in the open mic. It was funny, but another girl is like, hello, I have coronavirus. I feel like shit. Maybe I will die tomorrow. So his set, 1 minute set was she being sick and my mom cannot enter the room, so they pass me the food through the window with a stick. So his jokes were like, and she was red, like, oh fuck, I'm going to die. yeah it was fun. That was the only two things that I was able to watch because I fucking hate those Zoom comedy open mics. Most of the ones I tried to saw, and No,
No,
not
yeah,
for me.
it's a very weird format, of course, and you'd prefer doing that in front of live audience, like we're doing right now. Yeah, thankfully.
Oh yeah.
But still, it was a very unique experience for me. Yeah, it was very unique. Uh okay, so we're closing in right now. Yeah, on the end. One final question that I want to ask you. Basically, yeah, a question. Let's say we have plenty of people probably who want who come to stand-up shows. Yeah, who want to try to stand up. Yeah. What piece of advice can you give to these people who want to try to stand up?
There is you say something about 1 month. 1 month. You usually most of the people try like 4, 5, 6 times, and they say fucking difficult. So please try it. You don't need to do it like every week. Maybe try it like once a month, but for several times, like 10 times, because it gets much more interesting. At the beginning, you don't know what you're doing, and at the end, you will find like weapons, yes. So you can destroy. It's called destroy when everybody like you or killed. You can kill. So not just jokes or words, but you can find like your own style or your perception about things that make people laugh, or your real life experience that people enjoy to hear. So you can talk about short jokes or long stories, and if you don't try everything at the beginning, you will never know. At the beginning, many people try to copy like styles or topics to talk about, but then you will find out that the more you are, the funnier you can get. Yes, if I'm start speaking about other people, people maybe laugh, but if you find like the right things for you, it's like clothes. You find your style, you feel better, you feel stronger, and really it's like therapy. People get like super strong when they're funny.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I would even add something to that. Yeah, I think I've said it before. I'll repeat it again. I'll say it to every single person who comes up to me and asks me about this. Guys, there has never been a case of a comedian who went on stage and was funny right from the get-go. It's all work in progress.
There is 2 people that I know, Dave Chappelle and Kevin Hart. They say in the interviews that the first mics, and from that point, everybody was like, you're going to be famous. But there is like 2 in millions of comedians.
Even billions,
yeah.
Probably.
Dave Chappelle won the championship when he was like 15 years old. I don't know. And Kevin Hart like started like doing very well since the beginning. Even in his town, it was super hard to be famous because it's super poor, and everybody is super aggressive with comedians and people that are trying to be an artist. So they are so good and they like escape from those environments. But I think we or you, if you're listening to this, we are not those people.
Yeah.
So we need to try really hard and write a lot and be patient and try to find your best comedians, your best styles, people that make you laugh, even in your family. Why do they start thinking about funny, and it may help you in your life to be happier.
True words could not have been spoken. Yeah, so guys, hard work, determination, and do as many shows as you can, and then you will see the result. Trust me. Like one of the other reasons why I actually asked you to do this, because my idea for the podcast was, I want to, at the beginning, to talk to people who have a lot of experience in comedy, but this year that I've seen you perform, you probably have made the biggest progress of the people that I've seen. That's true. Yeah, for me at least, that's true, because I've seen you work hard on your material, on your jokes, on your stage persona and everything. And it pays off. Yeah. Like, I mean, if you compare yourself 8 months ago and right now, the difference is huge.
Yeah.
Like really huge. And I thank you once again for agreeing to do that. Doing this, I think it was a very fun conversation.
My first podcast.
Yay!
I'm a fan of the podcast. They saved my life here in Russia because I get super bored, especially in the winter. So podcasts are the future, man. Congratulations, yeah.
Thank you. We're definitely going to do that again because there are a lot of topics we haven't covered. Yeah, but that's all in the new year. For now, thank you guys for listening. Take care, and we'll be back next week with a brand new episode. For now, peace out. Good luck.
See you.